Okay, welcome to Math 25. I'm starting over because I forgot to hit record. We're going to talk about the website, which is complicated but as simple as can be, and talk about all the parts of it, and then we'll actually start doing some math. With only an hour, we won't get too far into math today, but that's okay. That's how the first day with talking about syllabus and stuff always works in any college class. Interrupt me whenever you want. I don't just want to be talking and talking and talking. So I'm going to go over kind of the format of the website and then some specific things you'll care about. I'm certainly not going to read out the syllabus to you. You can do that in your own time. So up at the top, this row right here tells you kind of the big places to go. So Math OER is our website. The Zoom room takes you to the Zoom room that we are all in. So you don't have to remember the code for it. You can always click it right there. Jamboard, when you click on that one, then it is the whiteboard we use. And unlike if I use the Zoom's built-in whiteboard, then this one stays around. I can save it and share it with people. So if you are not able to attend class and you don't want to spend the whole time to look at a long video, or if you were in class but just want a quick refresher of something because it didn't quite make it perfect into your own notes, then often it's easier to see the whiteboard than try and find the right screenshot in a long video. So you will get the whiteboard also. The Jamboard is something that you can be part of if you want to load it up on a phone or a tablet where you can write with your finger. Then as I'm writing during class, you can also write and say, what about this? And so on. I can also copy and paste things into it. So if somebody wanted to hold a page of homework right up to the screen, then I could grab that and put it in and make comments on it and things like that. So it is a good whiteboard. Lectures, I'm not sure if we're going to make a YouTube channel or not. Last term when I was teaching both Math 20 and Math 25, there were enough students that people really liked just being able to subscribe to a YouTube channel and know that all the videos were here. The problem is that it's not as nice. When I record things in the Zoom, as we're doing now, Zoom will automatically make a transcript. You'll be able to see at the side of the video all of the words. It's not completely accurate because it's automated, but it's sometimes nice to have the captioning done like that. And also it's searchable. So if I'm talking about adding fractions at a certain point and you wanted to jump right to that, you could search for the words adding fractions and find it. So it doesn't have quite as many features as the Zoom recording, but some people like YouTube, so there we go. I'm happy to move everything to YouTube. It doesn't take me that long. Lastly is a link to an online textbook. This is the Math 20 textbook. It is not the Math 25 textbook, but we will do a lot of Math 20 review. So you don't need this textbook, but if you want, let me know, and I will scrounge up a copy somewhere in the math division and get you a loaner copy. I'm not quite sure how long this will take. The advantage to having the textbook, let me stop sharing my screen, is that with this textbook, if you, oh, silly virtual background, one moment. Okay, with this textbook, if you hold it up, then in every set of example problems, there's a QR code. And you can scan it with your phone or tablet. And then, ta-da, there's videos where people are doing the problems for you. So if you want to see nice video step-by-step answers, it's convenient. If you go to the share screen online book, then it can do the same thing. I can say, oh, I'm curious about whatever this is. Let's do percents, applications of percents, and then here I'm going to see all the videos for this particular topic. So every example problem has a video. So if your Math 20 background is weak, or you just like watching lots of little videos, then that's a good way to get them. So if you want the Math 20 textbook, let me know, and I will get you a copy. These buttons are mostly for me. I can make things narrow to make sure they work on a phone. I can make the background darker so I don't hurt my eyes at night. And this just tests that my HTML is not broken because I'm a responsible person. Oh, I have an error. I must have changed something. Okay, questions about that? Oh. Anyone want out right now or put in chat that they do want a Math 20 textbook?
I could use a Math 20 textbook.
Okay, let me stop sharing and make a note to myself. Alex wants to.
A quick question. The instructional videos that are online with the textbook, are those the same that you use the QR code for in the manual textbook?
Yes, they are the same.
Okay.
You have to have a code from the publisher, which comes with the physical book,
Right.
to get past chapter 1. Chapter 1 is like their free, get you hooked, tell you how good their quality is. But if you look at anything past chapter 1, you need a code.
Okay.
So we have other videos for the Math 20 review topics. And of course, you can always just search for applications of percent and get lots of videos from YouTube and Khan Academy and stuff. But some people just like having it all organized together. And so I can make that happen. Okay, the next thing I want to point out on the page is this blue menu. So we have 6 different topics. And the first 3 are the Math 20 review topics. And we will go through a lot of this at different paces based on what questions you have. I don't know what your particular Math 20 background is, if you are all people who just got an A in it last term, or if you're people who haven't done this in 30 years. So we will figure out how much review we need to do as the moment comes, which, by the way, is why there's no due date homework assignment schedule for you at this point. That I don't know how fast we'll go. Who else has stuff in the background? I think it was Jeff. Okay, I'm muting you, Jeff. So until I know how fast we go through things, I can't say when due dates are. It changes every term.
How do we get to that screen that you're at right now?
This is just mathoer.net. I'll put it in the text chat too. OER stands for Open Educational Resources.
I know you also sent a link to the website in one of the emails that you sent out as well.
Yes, it's been in an email, but if you haven't checked your email because this is your only LCC class and we just started, then I would not be too surprised. But most LCC classes have happened at least once yet by Friday. So. Okay, so there are 3 review topics are shapeshifting is doing things with one number. Mad science is squishing things together. That's called simplifying an expression. And then justice is doing the same thing to both sides of an equation. So you don't need to worry about that, but we will go back to things as we need them. The Math 25 topics have more sensible names. We have health decisions, and we do those first because they tend to have the simplest math. We'll work our way from simple to complex as the 10 weeks goes on. After health decisions, we'll talk about personal finance decisions. And then our third topic is business decisions. And we will talk about all of these topics, but not always in the same amount of depth. Some terms, everyone is from the culinary program, and we're really going to focus on food a lot. Other term, there's a lot of people that are thinking of starting, a food cart or a childcare out of their home or something, and they want to emphasize the business decisions a little more, and so on. So there's a little bit more in the online notes than we have to go through. And there's things that aren't in the online notes that we can go into if people really want to learn a little more deeply about any of these topics. So there's your table of contents. Those 6 things, so you don't have to get here, are at the top on the right. So our health decisions, personal finance decisions, and business decisions are the main places we'll go for class notes. The other 6 things here are the different pages that you care about on the website. So this again brings you back to the welcome page and the table of contents. The second one is study skills. And I would, as soon as you can, go through and read through all these study skills. There's a lot of really good stuff here. Some of it is so important, I will actually talk about it during class time, but a lot of it you can get just as much out of reading yourself. So I'm not going to spend class time on it. So this weekend, sometime next week, look at all of our study skills. This red box at the top says that, by the way, there's a start of term reflection that you should send me an email about, which goes through a lot of these syllabus study skill things. You don't have to remember this. After every class, I'm going to send out an email to everyone with a summary of what we did, and I'll mention the reflection there. But again, this weekend or early next week, then try and get that done. So that's the study skills second box. The third one is our class library. Does anyone have a class library book they've gotten from me already that they want to hold up and show everyone? So all the books here are, let me go back to my screen. Thank you. Ones that you can physically pick up a copy of. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to go to the bookstore. The one that I want everyone to look at is Factfulness, partly because it's a very positive book, and that's something we could all use. And also because it's a very generally useful book, whether you are going into this type of math for culinary or social work or childcare or hospitality or all the other things at LCC that require Math 25, then this is a book you will actually get something useful out of. The other books, just read one and there's a book report about it. When you keep going down on this page, there's some ebook stuff, there's an interesting film, there's podcasts, there's some apps, there's a bunch of OERs that are probably not worth looking at, but I'm putting them in anyway. So lots of stuff in the class library. Again, the red box at the top says that sometime during the first 5 weeks of class, try and turn in your book reports. The first one is just summarizing the first chapter of Factfulness. And if you can't meet with me someplace at a park or come to my driveway and get a book, then the first chapter is available right here online. So you don't even have to physically get your hands on the book to get the first book report done. Okay, back up. So that's the second thing. Questions so far?
When is the first book report due?
Just try and get both of them to me first half of the class.
Okay,
I'm not big on due dates because people in Math 20 and Math 25 tend to not be Ivory Tower U of O students with 0 jobs or kids or responsibilities, right? So I just want it done early enough that by the time everyone else of your other LCC instructors starts giving you big projects and essays and so on, that you've done these smaller things and they're behind you.
So for one of the book reports, it's the first chapter of Factfulness.
Yep.
What is the second one?
The second one, you're going to answer these 6 specific questions from the point of view of an imaginary small business.
Okay.
So read about it here, ask me questions if I haven't explained it well enough in the text. But almost everyone is put into Math 25 at LCC for some business related reason. So that's why it's that way. Good questions. Anything else before I move on to the fourth box? Okay, the next type of thing is called playgrounds. That these are kind of interesting exploratory things. A big theme of our class is that in real life, math problems don't really have right answers. I'm trying to figure out how much should I save for retirement. That's a different answer for me than for Matteo or Alex or Jeff or Akme or Joel or Abby. And we'll all use math to help make an informed decision, but we're not going to get the same answer. And so these are examples of things that are more simple and fun than trying to work out your personal retirement plan, but get some experience with how kind of in real math, it's not like you see in high school where there's a short little problem, it has a single right answer. Do you get it right or wrong? So look at these. Again, this is something you can do on out of class time. And sometime this term, you're going to share what you did with 2 of them. And I have a few more in the back of my head that I want to put up about number theory and so on, but this might wind up being the complete list. The next page is resources. You have all kinds of resources as LCC students, things you might not know about. Did you know that there's like a bicycle rental program and things like that? So if you are new to LCC or just have been kind of commuter campusing and haven't really seen what there is on campus, then there's a lot of stuff. And even if you're not on campus much because we're doing remote learning, then recognize what resources you have. So the one I want to focus on right now is the tutoring. When you go to the Math Resource Center, then this link here, the Lane Support Hub Zoom Room, is how you get tutoring if you ever want it. I'm going to talk more about tutoring in a moment. The final one is our, to talk more about tutoring. In the study skills, there's this whole long section about tutoring because it's a little complicated. The Lane Support Hub, let me make this big for you, has all kinds of things going on. The first come, first serve is that Zoom room I showed you a moment ago. But if you want to sign up for something ahead of time, you can, and there's a process for that. If you ever need me to just walk you through it once, I certainly can. So yeah, big complicated stuff. Anyway, where did we go? Tutoring. So the Math Resource Center works with that. Trio is absolutely wonderful. Is there anyone that's never heard of Trio? I'm curious, raise your hands. Okay, so Trio is, if you are a first generation college student or low income or some other criterion, then Trio will work with you to get you through what's called the hidden curriculum. And they also have their own tutoring center. And I've had many math students that liked their tutors better than the math tutors. So the hidden curriculum refers to all the things that you have to do at college that no one teaches you how to do. How do you fill out these forms? How do you know which courses to take next? How do you get a job afterwards? How do you know which offices to visit to talk about this issue or that issue, and so on. So if it's good for you, let me share my screen again. Then check with Trio. No, they want me to sign in. I should just have a link to the Trio webpage there. Anyway, so let me just search. There we go. So you can see who's qualified, and they normally don't get full. They have enough federal grant money that they can provide services to anyone who qualifies. But in spring term, as I mentioned in one of my emails to you, they filled up. There were enough people that needed help with things when it's remote learning about where do I go for this form? I don't like my academic advisor. They're confusing me. I want a different one. So on and so forth, that they ran out of spots. So if you qualify, I would really encourage you to sign up for TRIO and get plugged in. The percentage of LCC students that within 4 years get a degree or program or major is like 3 times as high for people who work with TRIO than otherwise. So they are the best way to try and not waste money and be efficient as a student. Okay, enough about TRIO. There's also some e-tutoring, but I haven't heard anyone who likes it. So you're welcome to try it. Maybe it's exactly your kind of thing, but I would recommend the Lane Support Hub or TRIO. Okay, lastly, the Shields is our syllabus. You can send me email. You have my cell phone. And yeah, look over this. Let me go through and see what there is. You'll want a calculator. It's just hard to get a cell phone calculator app that works as well as a normal calculator. So I will not actually, be in the same room as you to know if you're using your cell phone, but you are sort of doing it the hard way if you're trying to use a cell phone app on some of our more complicated problems. You're welcome to prove me wrong. I've seen a few good cell phone apps, but for every student who's found a good one, I've seen 5 or 6 students that are trying to use one that's not as good. I've talked about the optional Math 20 book already. Calendar stuff, if you need to know when you might get refunds or grading option changes or stuff, then look at that. Here is where I'm going to put all of our recordings. So not only will I have links in the emails I send out after each class, but if you want to say, oh, what was the Jamboard for that class, then here we go. Okay, the key resources brings you back there. A traditional math class would have office hours, but you can't interrupt me now. We're doing study sessions. I don't want just me in the Zoom room before a class for half an hour with one at a time people coming and asking questions. That's a terribly inefficient way to do math. So if you have enough homework that you might as well do it before class with people, talk things together, have me here when you get stuck. It'll just be much better to treat the office hours as study sessions. Center for Accessible Resources. It's really sad that we're all remote because it's a great thing to just stop by the Center for Accessible Resources and get some little life hacks. I have met very few, maybe 0 students that didn't benefit from stopping by the Center for Accessible Resources office, even if they didn't think they would have any interest in it. They can find the most readable font for your laptop. They can teach you how to fidget without anyone noticing. They just have all sorts of good tricks. But sadly, you can't just wander over there this term. So the Student Help Desk 3333 for the extension is where you go for computer help if you need it. And as I mentioned in other emails, they have loaner tech. So if you need a Chromebook or a webcam or something, then borrow that before they run out. Bad weather hopefully won't matter. Usually we don't lose power before the term is done, but maybe, so we'll see what happens. There's a lot of responsibilities, things that you can read without me, things to ask me about for silly stories, and then we get to the achievements. So here's where I'm going to slow down and focus on things because it's complicated. Notice if you're at the top of this page, there's a table of contents and you can just click on achievements, and you could even bookmark with that $ achievements in the URL if you want to. So our grade book is here, and this isn't a high school class where we're just going to go through chapter 1 and give you some problems and go through chapter 2 and give you some problems. This is more of a real math class, so things are very different. I'm going to need from everyone a code name. So you will tell me a code name. You can even type it privately into chat Whoops, one moment, someone's at the door. Let me be right back. Okay, sorry about that. So send me in private chat, send me an email, text me, whatever. But tell me some code name for you. You're going to pick your code name and then click go. And then when you scroll down, you'll see which of these things are checked off. So you can't enter a code name here. You just tell it to me and then I put it in and you get it from the drop-down menu after that. If you go to the very bottom, you'll see that you need half of the stars in each category plus a few more. So you have a lot of choices. Going back up to the top, then for participating in the discussion, you're going to have to do 4 of these to pass the class, and you can do a few more things if you want a good grade. And then for the devouring math, you'll do 2 of them, and you can do more to get a good grade, and so on.
I didn't know if you knew you've gone off screen share.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, let's back up and try that again. So if you go to the very bottom of the page, you need half of the stars for each category for a D. And then you have to earn a few more than that to get better letter grades.
I have a question.
Sure.
Why did you choose to do achievement in this manner rather than just the typical grading process like every other teacher?
Okay, good question. One is that if you go back to the main page, then there's all this text I skipped about what does it really mean to do math. And part of my job is to make you useful in the real world, the workplace, using math, which doesn't happen the way textbooks work. So if I grade you entirely like textbook problems and homeworks and things, then I'm not doing well. It's also true that a lot of you have done a lot of math before and not gotten recognized for it, because the kind of math we do in real life doesn't tend to look like the kind of math that shows up inside a high school classroom. So this is a time where you can finally say, yes, I am good at all these kinds of behaviors of using math in real life. And then lastly, the process here of, let me just zoom in on this. Oh, it has a black background. Never mind, that's terrible. If you get a real life situation, we try and pick what numbers to use. We're going to do some stuff with the numbers on paper. We get an answer, but we started by making some estimates, because when I'm doing whatever, a car trip, the gas doesn't cost the same at every gas station. So can I actually trust my answer? Because I don't have perfect numbers I started with. And then I tell other people about, is this good math or not? How much can we use this to actually make decisions? So I want to focus on this process, because this is what happens in real life. In real life, it's not that problem. Someone gives you number 7 from chapter 5 and they want you to solve it. It's also a lot of group work. No one will ever say in real life, you know, Alex, go in this room. The future of the company depends on it. Do this math problem. You have half an hour, no looking at books or other resources. You know, no, that's completely artificial. So we're trying to make it realistic, but we also are trying to make it kind of fun and hokey at the same time. If you look at the achievement list, let me go back to that, then a lot of these are really trivial. So I am not trying to waste your time jumping through lots of hoops. I am trying to get you to see that you have done more math than you might recognize, and there's ways to think about math that your older math teachers might not have pointed out well enough before. The other answers to your question is what I said a bit ago, of that it's hard to predict the flow of things in this class. Since I'm not sure how much review we need, since I'm not sure how deeply we'll go into this or that topic, then I can't really just plan out an assignment list. It's not actually that different. All of these ones with stars are saying finish 10 exercises. So if I go to health decisions, then there's 4 subtopics. Each one has 10 exercises. And if I click on them, then here they are. This is like your homework at the back of the section.
Oh, okay.
So some of this will look kind of old-fashioned, but that's not all you're doing. And similarly in the achievements, it says take a test, and there is a health decisions test at the end. So it will look just like this. Every time we reload the page, the numbers change. There's not going to be any surprises. It will look like this practice test.
Okay.
So there is homework, there is tests, but that's not all there is.
And then I have another question.
Sure.
Because I know I have this issue, and I don't know if anyone else in the class has this issue, and that is the fact that I am dyslexic in both English and math. And so I'm curious how that would work with your class.
Okay, so for all the tests, then there's no time limits. It doesn't ever have a time limit in the instructions.
Okay.
So I'm going to jump to the study skills, and there is actually some stuff here about how to take a test. So read this, enjoy the pictures of dojos and Tai Chi and stuff. And do I say it here or not? No, I don't. Oh, anyway, somewhere on all of this webpage, I'm going to mention that to make sure you really learn things and to help keep track of how much you've learned things, then part of a test will be checking in by Zoom after you're done. So you will do a test, you will take a photo or send me your, scan it if you have a scanner, send me your work, and then I will grade it, and then we'll talk about it. And I'll say, you got number 5 right, so tell me what you were thinking as you went through this. Or number 9, you made a small mistake, can you find it? Or so on like that. And I might even give you someone else's test and say, here's a problem, someone else did number 9 this way, can you tell me what they were thinking as they went through the steps, and so on. So we'll be a little more like a grad school exam than a high school exam, where you have to sort of talk about your work as well as just do it.
Okay.
For homework that's like you said, put into PDFs or whatever format, will we just be using email for that
Yeah,
communication?
just email it to me. If you are fancy, use a Google Drive, and there is even something in the study skills about how to make a shared folder in your Google Drive if you don't know. That's a little nicer because your LCC email doesn't have unlimited storage. So if you're sending big PDFs around, or especially in other classes, if you're making videos, then yeah, if you put them on a shared Google Drive, you have as much of that space as you want with your LCC account.
I also know that if people don't want to use Google Drive to do that and just want to email a Word document to you, on Microsoft Office 365, there is an option to get it for free with your Lane email account.
Most people just take pictures of their papers and send them to me on email. So. Okay, so that's everything. Look through the achievements, look through all of this, bring me questions, and there we go. Okay, should we get started on doing math? Do you have more questions about how the class is organized or how the web page is organized? So we're going to start with health decisions. And the first topic is actually, I'm going to stop the recording and start it again, because that way, if people want this part but not the other, then it'll be nicer for them. So one moment.